like to bring our meeting to order this evening. Welcome to everyone, and if we can please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome. It feels sort of like a festive meeting because there's a lot of fun things on the agenda and our last one before Christmas holiday break. I will hear a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as published.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. And we'll move right on to public comment. And Steve Johnson. Hidden back there. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to represent myself, and I think a huge amount of the community, in appreciating the service of Mr. Suppiger and Mr. Kelly. And I'm a lifelong learner and a 40-year-plus veteran teacher, most of it here in Bonner County. And I think the service that these two gentlemen have performed these past years speaks well for our community and for the future of education. So that's
Thank you very much. And the next is Sherry Emmers. Ennis. Welcome, Sherry.
The Democratic Women's Group would like to thank Carrie Kelly and Gary Suppiger for their 4-year service as school board trustees. Education is a nonpartisan issue, so we support candidates regardless of political affiliation who have strong public education platforms. The Democratic women and this community will always put the needs of our children first. Public education is one of the pillars of our county that our country was founded on. It is the great equalizer. It helped to transform our country to one where, for the first time, all people have equal opportunities to an education. Bonner County has a rich tradition of putting a high value on public education, and Carrie Kelly, Gary Suppiger, the members of the board, and our superintendent, Tom Albertson, have upheld that tradition through some very difficult times. First, this board has stabilized funding by bringing us the opportunity to have an indefinite levy. This helps the taxpayer by fixing the yearly levy. It saves the district money and valuable time by not wasting resources every 2 years on a levy election. It gives teachers and staff the peace of mind to know that their jobs and programs will not be held in jeopardy every 2 years. This is essential to retaining highly qualified teachers. We want to express our deep gratitude to this board for having the foresight, will, and expertise to succeed in bringing this to our community. Thank you for the permanent levy. This accomplishment has also allowed the board to establish tuition-free full-day kindergarten for those who want it, additional after-school learning programs, new career tech pathways, college prep courses, and expanded student clubs. Our community has been fortunate to have such qualified and dedicated public servants. While we may not have always agreed with every decision, we always supported the board. We realize that you hold data, expert advice, and experience that we don't have. We trust that the board holds the well-being of our children at the center of every decision that you make. Carrie Kelly and Gary Suppiger have worked to make our school district the very best that we can afford, and they have done so for 4 years. Tonight, we want to make sure you both know that your community is grateful for your hard work. Your work has made a difference and will continue to improve the lives of our children for a generation. Thank you both, and best wishes for the next phase of your lives. And some tokens of appreciation from the Democratic community, women, and from the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you so much.
That is very nice.
Thank you.
And the next is Dean Cannon.
Thank you, everyone. It's first time seeing everybody, meeting everybody except for Mr. Albertson. My name is Dean, and my family and I fell in love with Sandpoint when we came here this summer, and then we moved here very recently. My daughter attends Farming Elementary. We like the school. Everyone there has been very good to her and kind to us, basically from the get-go. And I just wanted to introduce myself to the board and thank you all for stepping up in your community. It's a thankless job, and from what I hear, it doesn't make you a millionaire, so I appreciate you for doing that. My family moved here partly because where we lived before, our tax dollars did not provide a decent education. It was a large district, it was very bureaucratic, it was political, and it was unaccountable. So we chose to live in a smaller town where basically parents could be heard, and those parents can make more of an impact on issues that matter in a small town. And it's safer, and our daughter can walk to school. Big bonus, come from to a small town. Good education is an accountable process, and that's one of the two reasons we moved over 2,000 miles to be here. So we're happy to be here. No place is perfect though. Every place has its challenges with the process and public education. I just want to let you know that my family and I look forward to being very involved here and helping out with those challenges. And with that, I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Sounds like there's some retirements. Congratulations. getting out of the game, and all the good work you guys have done here. And I look forward to a productive 2022. So that's it.
Thank you, Dean.
And Kristen Dodd.
Hi there, Kristen Dodd. I just have a couple things I was gonna bring up. One was, wanted to make a suggestion about the public comment format. I know after having attended some of the county commissioners meetings, the way they kind of do it is they have their agenda, and so we stick to the agenda, but after each agenda item is mentioned, then there's opportunity for discussion on that, and the public can kind of give their say, and then we can hear from the board as well, where it feels like more of a conversation instead of us just kind of saying our piece and then feeling like maybe it gets heard or maybe it doesn't. And I know you guys have been, working at bringing things up in the next meeting and addressing some of our issues, but it would be nice if it felt a little bit more like a conversation. I know we have to keep order and everything like that, but just a suggestion to maybe do like the first 30 minutes like we do now, and have it open to something that maybe is not on the agenda, and then as the meeting moves on, maybe give 2 minutes a piece or something for people that want to address the agenda items after they've been presented. The other thing is, I would like to learn a little bit more about the committees. I've heard that there are committees. I don't know if there are committees, but as a parent, I would like to participate in these committees. There's been some talk, I know it's on the agenda tonight, about parental rights, or parental bill of rights has been mentioned in the past. Things like that. Maybe we could form a committee where there's staff as well as public, either taxpayers or parents, that are involved in those committees to discuss what maybe we can do moving forward to kind of create more of that relationship where it feels more like we're all working together towards the same goal. So that was really all I had.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, and I will pass that back down. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jackie Crossingham, principal there at Northside.
Hi,
Hello.
pleasure to be here this evening, Superintendent and members of the board. Board. It is my pleasure to share with you an update on Northside Elementary and all the wonderful things that are happening at our school. So our mission is empowering students to reach their greatest potential, and one of the wonderful parts of being able to be in a smaller rural school district is getting to know each student individually and where they're at and being able to meet their needs. I'd like to invite you inside to see what some of our classrooms look like. I'd like to start with a celebration from last year. Our students in grades K through 3 when they entered in 2020 were 69% of them at Tier 1. And by the time those students left in the spring, 80% were at Tier 1, which is reading at grade level. And so lots of hard work goes into that and a commitment to meeting each student and their needs and where they're at. We have a very rigorous MTSS program where we look at where each student's needs are, and we work very hard at enriching their learning and also extending where they're at. And it starts with our kindergarten class. Our kindergartners, when they enter in the morning, go straight to their class, and Mrs. Padilla, their teacher, meets them at the doorway where they're given a quick formative assessment for the day on the learning that's going to take place, and that guides the instruction for where the students are. It's an exciting place in there. There is music, there's magic, there's play, but there's also a lot of rigor going on. You can see she works one-on-one with students. We bring parent volunteers in at times to work in small groups with students. We have students using technology, and you can see the sign on their back there that says, "Our kids are a gift," and they really feel very special in that classroom. When they entered in September, 50% of them were at benchmark ready for kindergarten. By October, 82% were up there, so huge jumps just with that rigorous but nurturing and wonderful environment. And so it's a great place for students to get to start. We knew in the spring that we had a big second grade, but we had more first graders coming, and so we quickly in the fall were able to switch from 2 second grades to a first grade, a second grade, and a combination first and second grade classroom. And it was really exciting to see the teachers just jump on board with that group. They worked together as a team to organize the students and the curriculum and sharing materials. And we have a lot of wonderful learning going on. We have extra para support this year, which we've really put into those primary grades, especially to work on supporting math and reading. And you can see in the picture here, we have a second grader who's mentoring a first grader in their classroom. We have second graders who are doing independent reading. We have a very happy first grader who has met his reading goal, and those stars get placed up by our entryway as everyone enters the building and gets to see the accomplishments of their happy little faces. Another celebration we have from last year is our ISATs. In the spring, grades 3 through 6, 72% were proficient and above in ELA, and 64 were proficient and above in math, which exceeded our goals. And that takes place through very intentional teaching on the part of the entire staff. They pull students into small groups. We have interventions in math and ELA going on, and also being able to work with students not just in remediation but in acceleration, and making connections with learning, making learning fun and interesting. An example is recently our 3rd and 4th grade students. Our whole school was able to partake in a Birds of Prey presentation where they learned about raptors, and different owls were brought out, and the students were able to see them and the importance of raptors on an ecosystem. We have a PACE grant for art that Mrs. Riley works with each student throughout the building, and so she brought in some artwork on learning how to paint eagles, and so they looked at their body structures and all those different parts of them. And then last week, the 3rd and 4th graders were able to go on a field trip where they were able to do some eagle watching on Lake Coeur d'Alene, and that was so fun. The kids were literally holding onto the railings and jumping up and down to have that learning that they've been working on in the classroom, making that connection with real life. And then 5th grade. We knew that 5th grade was getting large, but we have in the past had one of each grade, but this year we grew to 35 5th graders from students that returned from doing homeschooling and other things last year, and then also families that moved in. So we had to quickly hire and set up another 5th grade, which was pretty exciting that week before school started. But again, that's been a wonderful collaborative experience between those two teachers. And we've been able to set it up where those classroom students who are really used to one another are still able to do learning independently in their classrooms with smaller sizes, but come together. And so you can see our instructional coach for the school district, Lisa McElroy, is there teaching the lesson to the whole group for science. The students are in PE individually in their smaller groups, and then they have times where they get to come together still as one 5th grade group. So that's been a very exciting thing to see our classrooms being supported and in a workable size. And so we thank you for that, definitely. 6th grade, finishing up, we have the opportunity to have the wonderful Mrs. Watson as our 6th grade teacher this year. And she comes from the middle school, so she's a perfect segue to be able to help our students be prepared, knowing what they need to know going into middle school. And so what we have here is a lesson in math. The students are using iExcel, which is a program that PAVE supported for all of our students throughout the school. It's used in all the different grades, but here the students are working at an individual level on math, and they're taking some of those math skills that they've learned to learn how to play cribbage. They learned the counting system and how to play through and then measurement to create a cribbage board. And so I'm not supposed to tell you, but those are going home as Christmas presents. So don't anyone tell their parents, because those are going to be wrapped up and sent away soon. But it was a pretty exciting process and a way to make a real life connection to the mathematics that they're learning in class as well. I just have to give a plug for Mystery Science, because every teacher, I'm like, what's kind of fun this year? Is they all say Mystery Science. It's a great program, and we have a lot of science going on. The kids have been learning why leaves change colors, how fast can a dinosaur run, and things like what can mold really grow on, which is always exciting to learn and see. So that's been a fun program, and I bop in all the time and see different little science projects. A lot of the teachers are doing Science Fridays, and it's something that it's been a really great additional enrichment to our learning that's going on. We have wonderful music that we get to share with our instructor this year with Hope Elementary, and our instructor, Mr. Russell Richens, had the students learning songs for Veterans Day, which they shared out, and it was absolutely wonderful. Those 35 5th graders get to come together and play ukulele, if you can imagine, in one room. That's exciting, and just
Like the music.
a huge compliment to the power of music. And just like all the other 6th graders in the district, our students have been able to learn how to play the flute a little bit, the clarinet a little bit, and the trumpet a little bit, and they're now focusing in on that. It's been really great to see all the 6th graders have that opportunity to play a musical instrument. And I just left the building. I'm getting ready for a concert here on Thursday, so just exciting music and carols going on all over the place, so that's been fun. Other wonderful things that we get to do at Northside, we have PE, which has been really fun and exciting, learn about collaboration, how to play together. Our tech program allows students to learn things like Google Suites, and they're doing coding, and then in the springtime we'll have some robotics coming in, and just lots of different opportunities for students to hit the library as part of the day, open library time, and then also assigned times where students get to go in and choose books at just their level. Our Wednesdays, that is probably the most exciting thing that's been going on at Northside PLCs. It's a culture, not a meeting, and at Northside, with a small school, teachers collaborate constantly. It's in the hallways, it's the copy machine, it's at lunchroom, it's constant. But the drive has taken it from being not just talking to one another, but really focusing in on the data. And that is our Wednesday focus. So this year we've started out with just those first 2 questions in the PLC process is, what do we want students to learn, and how do we know if they know it? And with new teachers, with teachers who have switched grades, it's been a really valuable time. I can't emphasize enough how much positivity has come out of that time that the teachers have shared with me. But meeting with our guiding coalition yesterday, it's like we're ready to jump in, and we're going to focus in on writing for the next few weeks ahead. And it is certainly an opportunity that the teachers really look forward to as far as getting to work with each other. And it looks really different than in larger schools, because instead of 3 3rd grade teachers meeting on curriculum, we're meeting vertically. And so 1st, 2nd kindergarten teachers will meet together, 4, 5, 6 will meet together. And it's just been a great opportunity for enhancing what's going on well in your classroom, what can you do to help me in my classroom. I have to give one plug for our PTO, because a big part of being in a small rural school is absolutely having supportive families, but our PTO is strong, and they've done some amazing things. They support our classrooms so much. They help decorate, they help plan, if we have needs to support wobble chairs in the classroom, they support that. They've done some fun homeschool connections where they had students reading and got to win some Husky swag for doing that at home. Writing recipes and bringing in food that was then donated to the food bank, 464 pounds that were gathered up in just a short time. They're working on the geography challenge right now. And so just really bringing that homeschool connection to life. Our PTO president also wrote a grant with Lighthouse to bring in fresh fruits on one Friday a month. And so some different kinds of fruits. And so working with Pack River Store, the kids have been able to have pomegranates and mangoes and some things that they just haven't tried. They learn a little bit about where they come from, how to prepare them. And so just one other extra fun part of the day that students get to partake in. And truly, out at Northside, we are creating a community of lifelong learners. One of our little mottos is Northside is the big school, the little school with the big heart, and that is definitely the way it feels. It's a community. Every student is cared for, and we're helping each one of them to reach their potential. And you can see we have teachers with students in their classrooms. We have the lovely community garden being supported by multi-generations of grandparents and parents and students. And it's just a really great place for me to get to spend the day, and I appreciate all the support that you have given us out at Northside.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you remind me of your student population there?
Yes, 178, with 3 of them are in IDLA right now. So we have 175 that come through the door.
That's great. And do you have any of your staff here tonight? I was going to just thank them if they were, but I can't tell.
If they are, they're hiding, so I don't see.
I know.
I see the parents and grandparents.
Don't worry. See, that's exciting.
So thank you, parents and grandparents.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you. I don't know, trustees, do you have any questions for accolades?
Yeah.
Really wonderful progress your students have made.
Oh, they're just, yeah.
The
They're great.
academic statistics are great.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Pretty
really
exciting.
encouraging. Yeah.
They're learning and they're having fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I will entertain a motion for a consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. None opposed, and that motion passes. So we have a series of alternate authorizations. So I will begin. Do you want to call anyone forward for these, or from?
I can speak on them, or Betsy, would you like to speak on the alternate authorizations for Farm and Stidwell?
Sure.
Okay, that would be great. Appreciate it. The first one is,
Elizabeth Sims.
what's that?
Elizabeth Sims.
Yeah. First one is Elizabeth Sims. And if you want to just explain to the board why we're asking for an alternate authorization for Elizabeth Sims.
Sims, we are asking for an alternate authorization for her to take over our Beacon Behavior Intervention classroom. You may not know that that is a very hard to fill position. It's a specialized program within Farm and Stidwell where some of our students who have some emotional disturbances, some different special education needs come to Farm and Stidwell for to be supported. It's a highly qualified staff, it's a highly trained staff, and it's very difficult to recruit teachers in that position. So we had a candidate. She's been working, Elizabeth, for 2 years in our life skills program, which is another hard to fill special program, and she's done fantastic there. She is finishing her special education degree, and will have that completed by July. And so we are asking to have her in that position to fill the remainder of the year.
Perfect. I'll entertain a motion for that.
I move to,
I'll make a motion that we approve the alternate authorization content specialist, 1 year for Elizabeth Sims.
I second that.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes, thank you. And then the next one is Farm and Stillwell as well, so you might as well keep standing. For Jennifer Vasquez.
Jennifer Vasquez, we have an alternate authorization request for Jennifer. Now Jennifer is a 21-year veteran of special education. She has taught just about every type of special education in California. She is certified in kindergarten through high school. It just doesn't cover that early childhood education, and we have her teaching preschool right now. She also is licensed and certified to be a special education director for PK through 12. So very, very experienced, fantastic educator. And she's going to take the praxis test to add that endorsement for preschool. So we're requesting that.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion for that.
I move that we approve the alternate authorization teacher for Jennifer Vasquez, Farmansville.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, and that motion passes. So we have an alternate authorization for Kootenai Elementary.
Correct, and I'll cover that one.
Philip Riley.
Philip
Okay.
Riley has been teaching currently at at Kootenai for the last 2.5 years. He's just finishing up his 3-year alternate authorization, and you've approved this the last 2 years. This would be just the continuation of that for him to complete his degree.
I'll make a motion that we approve the alternate authorization teacher to do contract specialist, Philip Riley.
I second that.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I have a point to make here on the, what I have before me for financial considerations. It has a pay of 1,000. I think that's
Oh.
supposed to be 100.
You are correct, it is $100.
Yeah, there's
In the
also-
agenda request, that would have been a typo from Principal Knowles.
I tried to get
Yeah.
actually.
So, that is an amendment to the motion.
Well, amended, so that portion is amended from $1,000.
You're making a motion to amend.
Motion to amend.
Can I have a second on that? Moved and seconded to amend the motion. And is there any more discussion? All those in favor of the amended motion for alternate authorization for Philip Riley?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, and that motion
Thank
passes.
you.
So our next is an alternate authorization for Adrian Nelson, Sandpoint High School.
Dr. Jansen, do you want to speak on the next two? That would be
Okay.
great, thank you.
Adrian Nelson, we are asking for permission for all authorization. She has moved into a life skills position at the high school. She is in her student teaching at the moment as well and will be completed with her SPED degree. So we're excited to have her. She's been at Sandpoint High School. I don't know how long. She worked as a paraprofessional. She's extremely talented with students. I did an observation on her today, and we are honored to have her. So we just need that all off while she's completing her degree.
I'll hear a motion for that.
I move that we approve the alternate authorization content specialist, year 1 for Adrian Nelson at Sandpoint High School.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and none opposed, that motion passes. And the last one. I think it's you again. Alternate authorization teacher to new Lynn.
That's it.
That's it.
At JDC.
Yes.
So I don't, just
Oh.
to allow, I don't know if the audience knows, the boards know, so the Lake Conroe School District is actually over our Bonner County Juvenile Justice. services, our JDC, we actually, we have the teacher there, and that position requires a special education endorsement in case we have students that come into JDC who need to receive services. And so Lynn has accepted the position. She is a veteran teacher with over 20 years. She has taught, she actually comes to us from a fellow district and worked in an alternative school. So she has worked with a high-risk population and knows the secondary population and middle school population very well. And so we are asking for an alternative authorization why she creates that special education piece.
Okay. Motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the alternate authorization teacher for Lynn Atzett.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, and that motion passes. So we will move on to a calendar change.
Yeah. When we had parent-teacher conferences, they landed on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we have our students getting out 40 minutes early on Wednesday, and we had originally set the Thursday and Friday to be out an hour and 40 minutes early to give teachers more time to meet with parents for conferences. I had made the suggestion that we keep those 3 days the same at 40 minutes early out, not an hour and 40, so that it was easier for parents for consistency on schedules, so that they knew all 3 days were exactly the same, and we weren't, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So with that, then my proposal would then be to move those, and we're well within our minutes, to move that hour and 40 minutes to those 2 days, to this coming Friday, the day before winter break, and the very last day of school, which would be less impact on parents.
Okay. That does require a motion to change that MOU. It's not written out, but it's an MOU to modify Article 2.
I'll make a motion that we approve the MOU, the calendar change as presented to us tonight.
I second that.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion or questions for Superintendent Albertson?
No.
I have one question. Do your administrators at the building already know and are on board with that idea?
Yes.
Yeah. So with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. That motion passes. And we'll go on to Clerk Kelly Fisher, the canvass of trustee election results.
I just included the canvas of the Bonner County canvas of the election for November 2nd. Just for a point of reference, this takes no action, but I just wanted you to see it because the declaration and the next item on the agenda does require trustee motion. And without the canvas of election, I couldn't have that declaration in front of you because it was a contested election.
So I will hear a motion.
I'm sorry, so I misspoke. Not a contested election. It was, there were multiple seats open for that. I'm still misspeaking. There were multiple people running for one seat.
That's what you meant.
I'm sorry.
It was not
Not a contested election. Sorry, that I misspoke.
Okay, let me understand. You are asking us to make a motion to approve the,
You don't need to approve anything on that. It was no motion.
not on the canvas, I mean on the second.
Yes, but you have to declare the declaration of candidate elected as trustee for Zone 2, Jalen Peters. That's the information piece. It's weird, but this is just more protocol from code, because I then give him a trustee Jalen Peters for Zone 2 a certificate of election that does not require board action. I just have to sign it and seal it.
Yes.
So it is a little confusing. You have to approve the
We know
declaration.
what we're doing.
You don't have to
can't get
approve
there.
the certificate, but it is a process. And listing things now by action and no action, it makes it hard to put it on the agenda, but that's
That's okay, I understand, and the content you included in our packet was very helpful. So I will ask, trustee for a motion here.
Okay. I move that we approve the declaration of candidate elected as trustee in Zone 2, is Jalen Peters for the
C for zone two?
seat for Zone 2 for
Thank you.
school district number 84.
It's been moved, and a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any other questions for our clerk on that process?
maybe don't ask me tonight. I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, none opposed. That motion
Sorry.
passes. That's perfect. So we are moving into our board information items, which actually,
Which is now that you've declared that seat as elected, I just have to certify that with a certificate of election, and I sign and seal that and keep in a book. When I swear in the new trustees at our annual meeting in January, that would be Tanya Sherman, Jalen Peters, and Lonnie Williams. I present, like certificates, but
Yes.
they're not stamped and sealed. They're not really official. This is the official certificate of election.
okay. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the ISBA business section report from resolutions. As you guys remember, we didn't attend in person, so I was zoomed in for that business meeting on Friday. As we found out about a week ahead, it did not allow me to officially place our votes because they did not have it set up to where I could electronically vote. However, I watched the process and I took all of your votes, and I'm going to report out on each of the resolution votes in the number they were counted. And in all 8 of these resolutions, our vote as a board, each of your votes individually, were in the winning side. It was a yes, no. So the first one was the first resolution was career teacher placement for out-of-state teachers and administrators. There were 6,481 yeses and 0 nos. We were in agreement on that one. The second resolution was hiring flexibility on licensed counselors. It was also 7,885 yeses and 21 nos. We were also in agreement with the way that, and all of them, everyone I'm going to tell you, we were in agreement on. The third resolution is the school age accountability requirements. There was some discussion on that one. And then they took votes, 6678 was yes and 951 no. And on that, I listened to all the content discussion, and I would not have changed my vote. And since I was in charge of all your votes and not able to give them anyway, none of you changed your votes. The fifth resolution was support for Idaho's content standards, and we all did support that one. 7,283 yes, 294 no. The sixth was K-12 funding formula principles, 7,790 yes and 130 no. The career ladder record storage resolution 7, 8,077 yes and 21 no. Resolution 8, discussion of sale of public property in executive session, 8,098 yes, 0 no. And then 9, consistent priorities for ISBA advocacy, 7,881 yes and 217 no. As you heard me, I did not read resolution 4. It had been taken off the slate before the business meeting. I did make some notes on the discussion on the third resolution, which was the only one where there was any contested discussion. And I have that, although you can ask me. If you're interested, let me know. The interesting thing with, it was absolutely the fastest business session I've ever been in on. I will say that as a reminder to those who are here, these resolutions are brought forward when the state legislature is in session, it just means that ISBA is advocating for these, not that they will pass. Several of these have been brought forward in the past.
A bunch of times.
More than once. So that sums up that report, and all of your votes were in agreement with the way the majority voted, but next year for sure I'm going to be there in person because I didn't like not actually having a vote. So I'm sorry for that. That's all on that report, but I will move on. Is there any other questions for me?
Good job.
I listened very, very well.
Even though it didn't count.
Thank you, even though I couldn't vote for you. Sorry. So we have an update, information, discussion for the valedictorian salutatorian requirements, and as this pertains to high school level. So I'll turn it to you to open, and then we'll have some opportunity to discuss.
So let me see if I can
Some
get this a
background
little
and-
bit larger,
yeah.
a little bit of background. I believe it was 6 years ago. There were discussion and some committees formed at Sandpoint High School to look at how valedictorian and salutatorian were calculated. And this was a model that some other school districts had used. And if you know that if a student were to take 16 credits per year, they have a maximum of 64 credits. And so what we found in some cases where students were not exploring and taking some courses that were non-advanced placement or non-dual credit because they didn't want it to hurt their GPA. So with this plan, which was moved towards, it was based on 32 credits, and it's the same 32 credits. 7 of them had to be semester courses of English, 6 of them had to be in science, 6 of them had to be in mathematics, 5 had to be in social studies, 3 in foreign language, and then the student could have options. And then that would allow students then to explore with their other 32 credits without it hurting their chance to be valedictorian or salutatorian. So this is the worksheet that students and parents are given. Here is an example of what they have where they could actually fill in their courses to see where they are, and then a blank worksheet which they would fill in. They would choose which courses they would want to be of those 32. And if you remember, advanced placement courses are worth a 5-point on a 4-point scale, and dual credit through universities are worth a 4.5. So that obviously gives a boost to those students who are challenging themselves with advanced placement and dual credit. And so, I bring this forward just as information of what our current system is, and I know it was wanted to be for discussion tonight.
Mm-hmm. Well, say the last part again, not the very last. AP are weighted and dual credits also, you said 1.5?
4.5.
4.5, yeah.
AP is 5 points. Right.
4.5, yeah, okay. So I would open it up to trustee discussion. It's a non-action item, but I know that there's some discussion to be had. Go ahead, trustee Seaver.
Lake Monterey School District's an academic institution, and therefore I believe it is important, to recognize our students with high academic achievement. Valedictorian and salutatorian are the most prestigious awards given by our district. They are only awarded to graduating high school seniors who are finishing high school with the best overall high school records. Valedictorian and salutatorian are important public recognitions of a student's outstanding academic achievement. I think we can all agree that it's vital to give these awards to the most deserving students. For over 100 years, these prestigious awards were awarded by the school district to the students with the highest cumulative GPA from their entire body of high school work. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, according to Superintendent Albertson, this matrix was changed at Sandpoint High School to include only the grades of 32 core courses. 56 at Sandpoint High School, currently 56 courses are required to graduate. Over 70 course credits are completed by our best honors students. Our best students are taking over 70 courses. These honors students are the students who aggressively challenge themselves for 4 years. This change 6 years ago was done without board approval by the high school principal, superintendent at that time. I believe by only considering less than half the courses taken by our best students, we are discounting the work of our most outstanding students and not recognizing their full accomplishments. These exceptional students, the ones who take 64, 70 credits, are exceptional students who push themselves to not only take more courses that are required to graduate, but to take more challenging coursework in the form of honors, advanced placement, and dual credit courses throughout their high school career. Prior to the change in the matrix, it was very rare, very, very rare to have ties, to have dual valedictorians or salutatorians. Since we inaugurated this new policy, in 4 out of 5 years, we've had ties for either salutatorian or valedictorian. I believe salutatorian and valedictorian are singular words, and they should be awarded, to singular students who rise to the top of their class. In my opinion, it's clear from the statistics that our best students are sharing the award with less deserving students. This new policy, in my opinion, does not recognize the accomplishments of exceptional students who push themselves beyond the minimum requirements and take more courses and more challenging courses to fulfill their high school requirements.
Gary, you were gonna have like a 2-minute limit, but I don't know that you're gonna make it.
I'm not going to make it, no.
Leniency one time only, Gary.
Also a traditional valedictorian has the best shot at earning college scholarships. Now, I consulted with the ISBA, it's been probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, about this matrix. And they acknowledge that there are other districts that use this abbreviated matrix, but it remains rare. The vast majority of the school districts in this state and across this country use the traditional model, which utilizes the GPA from the student's entire body of work. Superintendent Albertson made the point that some students, particularly students in our vocational, in our CTE program, are discouraged, from pursuing valedictorian and salutatorian because of the new matrix, of the old matrix. I'd like to make the point that just because a student pursues a vocational track in high school doesn't mean that he can't earn class honors as valedictorian or salutatorian. And I offer an example, 3 students who I'm familiar with, my own children. My son, Gerhard, was in the information technology program. He took multiple courses, earned a certificate in information technology, and finished high school as valedictorian. My daughter, Madeline, was in the healthcare track at Sandpoint High School. She took 4 courses for 2 years, earned a CNA certificate, and still earned the valedictorian. My daughter, Caroline, was in journalism and media arts. She earned, recognition through journalism and media arts, and still finished as valedictorian. These students who pursue vocational programs earn something that's more important than class honors. They earn certificates. We offer certificates in virtually all of our vocational programs. These certificates qualify students to either go directly into the workforce or as a prerequisite for more advanced vocational training. Therefore, I don't think the argument that CTE students are discriminated against in the process is valid. They can still earn honors, valedictorian, salutatorian recognition. They can earn certificates and still finish on top. Now, most school districts in Idaho have the academic award matrix in policy. Our school district does not have it in policy. It has it in the handbooks from our 3 high schools. And it's inconsistent. We have a different matrix at Clark Fork, a traditional matrix, a traditional matrix at Ponderay High School, and this unique, what I call snapshot matrix of only 32 out of as many as 70 courses at Sandpoint High School. So therefore, I think it's important as our school district to be consistent and have the same matrix at all of our schools. The new matrix does not consider a student's entire academic credit or record, only a 32 credit snapshot. I believe that these awards should be reserved for those students who have the best overall high school record for their entire body of work. Therefore, I support restoring the traditional model for awarding valedictorian and salutatorian and being consistent, at all of our high schools in the district. The traditional model recognizes outstanding students' entire high school record. It's much less likely to result in ties, and it gives the public recognition and the scholarship opportunities to the most deserving students.
Thank you. I would point 2 points of clarity here. Early in page 1, you implied that when that decision was made 5 years ago, that it was done without board knowledge, and that is not true. I'd like to clear that up. That was not a board decision, and it still remains today not in the purview of the board. We were informed at the time, and it has been in board history an administrative decision. So I just wanted to clarify that that was not done under the table or without our knowledge.
The board never voted on it.
That's
It was
correct,
never
and
involved.
it still
The
would
board
not,
never voted on
because
it.
it is not a board policy
In
decision.
virtually every other school district in the state, it's a
Correct.
policy.
I see what you're saying, and it's not in our policy, so you're talking about changing policy first. So it's not that
Adding
the
it
board
to the policy,
didn't do its
yes.
job, it's that the way our policy is written right now is. And then I would make one other point. You talked about consistency. We do have 3 different high schools, and they each do have different high school requirements for graduation. So there's already a level of, there's already some differences built into the structure. So forcing a consistent model has not been our intent as a board.
I think, the
But those
traditional
are
model would apply to all the high schools.
points.
It's the best overall high school
And-
cumulative grade point average.
Yes. I will ask Superintendent Albertson to answer a couple of the other, and those are just 2 points of clarity. Do you have any feedback on I can recall the discussions when the decision was made involved some of the student, that it was what was best serving the student population?
Yeah, I mean, if you do look at the building level policy on this, priority is always going to be given to the unweighted GPA of a 4.0. So if you have a student who has a perfect record of straight A's unweighted, they will always be considered over someone who has lesser grades within those 32 credits. So that counters the lesser student may be getting valedictorian. And again, if this is something that the board in future months or years would like to revisit, you could task me that, and I could work with Sandpoint High School to review that. The idea here was not to punish students, but to help students in the sense that we're comparing our top students on the same 32 credits. And then if I wanted to take an art class that was not advanced placement or was not dual credit, and it was just on the 4-point, it didn't hurt me to go explore that passion as far as my opportunity to still be one of the top scholars. So, Yeah, I mean, that was, there was no intent of hurting any student. It was more of comparing, making it equitable on all students based on the same number of credits, and then giving other students more opportunities to explore. So really, it's nothing much more than that, so.
I'll get over there in a moment. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a question. So based on that, and this is a hypothetical, Tom.
Yeah.
Let's say we've got two students that are both take a lot of advanced placement classes. They're going to be graded on the 32, same 32, right?
They'll pick which 32 credits they want to put into the matrix.
As long as it fills those categories.
And let's say they achieve everything that they need to in order to graduate, but one student chooses to take as many PE and weight training classes as possible. The other student chooses to take more academically driven courses. Are you saying that those two students would be looked at differently based on the body of coursework outside of the 32? Or no?
No,
It's just
outside
straight,
of the,
straight across on the
straight
32.
across on the 32.
Okay.
Now, notice that there are student options. They get to pick 5 semester credits of what they would want to put. So this example would be a student who took AP Music, AP Art, AP Environmental Science, Jazz Band, and this is just a hypothetical question. So obviously students that are taking a lot of dual credit in AP are going to put that in their rubric.
Right.
So yeah.
And
Well,
Trustee
my only
Kelly.
comment is that the fact that we've had multiple valedictorians and salutatorians the last several years, maybe the 32 isn't broad enough to distinguish between the students. I mean, the definition of a valedictorian is the highest. And if you can't determine the highest, because they're clumped together, maybe it needs to be broadened. I'm not saying we go back to the way it was, it's just, maybe it's worth looking at.
There have been some neighboring districts also go away from valedictorian and salutatorian and going to just top 10%. So there is a trend that's kind of moving in that direction too, but something we didn't explore.
I would remind the board, right now, we have never engaged at this level of administrative decision, and we have left it at the administrative level, meaning not a board oversight vote. So if you're talking about changing that model, it's like I was saying, it's a policy decision. At this stage, the way it is now, we've left it at the administrative level, and when I read the duties of the board, I think that's where it should remain, in my opinion. So we would need first to decide if that is board involvement or not. Obviously, tonight is a no action item, but a discussion item to give opportunity to hear the way it was, the decision made to change, and the way it is now, and Trustee Superger wanted a chance to share his feelings on this. And I don't know, before anyone has a second, did you have any comments, Trustee Decker?
I have lots of things going on, I don't have a comment at this time.
Okay.
I need to think about this.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
And this is just,
Trustee Wood.
this is, a soccer player, I'm used to ties. What's the harm in having 2 valedictorians? It doesn't lessen the achievement of either of those students, and it doesn't lessen the ability for either of those students to earn a scholarship to whatever pursuit that they are going for. And I understand,
Why not have 5? Why not have 4? I mean, the definition is the highest. If you can't determine the highest, then you don't have enough data to go by. But I think this is a very good topic to turn over to the next board.
And as I say, it would first start as a policy decision on whether it's even board responsibility.
Well, I'd like to reiterate, it is policy in the vast majority of school districts in this state.
Correct.
Second, I just, to follow the matrix here, is it fair to compare a student that performs very well, in 32 out of his courses, to another student that performs at the highest level in twice that many.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying.
But
It's not the same.
all unweighted, all courses will be weighted on the 4.0, will give preference.
Can you explain, like, what, can you
So
elaborate?
that means that it has come down to if of the other 32 credits,
Uh-huh.
there were one student who had all A's, but they may not be a 5 point or a 4.5,
Right.
and you have another student that got a B, the student with all A's will be the valedictorian.
Meaning that the student that got a B, it was a B in a class that was weighted more than the 4-point scale? Or not? Or it doesn't matter?
Could be
Okay.
or not. But I'm just saying
It's
is
a course
overall
out of the matrix?
unweighted GP, correct.
Outside
Overall,
of the 32.
priority will be given to students with the unweighted GPA of 4.0 of their whole academic record.
Right. So,
That is kind of like a tiebreaker.
Then why are we having so many ties?
We have a lot of
Because they got the
high-achieving
same-
students taking a lot of high,
Ties were just exceedingly rare, for 100 years.
well, I can give you the historical perspective of when we went, I mean, I don't want to bring another topic up here, but if you want to say, why are we weighting AP courses at a 5-point and a dual credit at a 4.5, it was an incentive to have those students be rewarded for taking those, but that was never put in place prior. That had never been in place, and that came from a group of parents, probably 20, 25 years ago, where parents then wanted a weighted scale for more challenging courses, and that came from the request of parents. That wasn't administrative decision or board decision, and so
Well,
people listened to
I
that.
agree with the weighted scale. I think that's a very good policy. That's not in policy, that's administrative.
Yeah,
Correct.
right. But that came
That's-
from.
That's a very good procedure.
But that came from parents.
We're not using it, at least for this.
Yeah, we are.
yeah,
We are.
it is. He's saying only
for
in the
32.
tiebreaker.
There's many students that take more than 32, honors, AP, advanced credit courses.
So I think what I'll do at this time is, if you don't mind, will you submit into record your notes, because those were very thorough.
Yeah,
And I'm sure you have a copy on your computer, right?
yeah.
Okay. And then we will decide as a board if this is something that we want to change and have board policy on, or if we want to leave it in the realm of administrative decision. So I think for today's purposes, we will, I just want to make sure you pass that down to Kelly before you're done. For today's purposes, that is where we'll end the discussion, if everyone's comfortable with that. Okay. We have a status report and an update on Idaho parental rights, and I'm going to turn this again over to Superintendent Albertson to give us an update on where we are here in this conversation.
Per parents' request of what are parental rights, was there a parental bill of rights? I've done quite a bit of research throughout the state, State Department of Education, State Board of Education, and I think where we're starting at and where we're coming with, I think is important for the board to already know what Idaho code has in place. So, we do have a parental rights policy, but again, what we're crosswalking is you're going to say that it doesn't have a lot in it, but if you look at what Idaho code, and I will try to make this bigger, there is, and most of this code was written in 2015, and these are things that we are already adhering to. One is, so it's really 32-110 through 32-1014. It's called the Idaho Parental Rights Act. And so within this, a lot of this is, the first part of this is just definitions. And I invite the board to look further into this, 32, 1010 through 3214. you know, it's more of what the state's rights are. I don't want to sit here and just read the whole thing to you.
We have it in our packets.
You have it in your packets. Then going to 321011, parental right, parent and child, parent to the right to the care, custody, and control of children. Parents who have legal custody of any minor child or children have the fundamental right to make decisions concerning their care, custody, and control. That is, again, you can see is in 2015. That is already in code. 32-1012, parental right to direct the education of children, was also put in Idaho Code in 2015. Parents who have legal custody of any minor child or children have the fundamental right and duty to make decisions concerning their education, including the right to cause a child to be educated in any manner authorized under Section 33202. I didn't pull that up, but again, this is an awareness for you as a board. And probably more important is this is still 2015. Parent and child interference with fundamental parenting rights are restricted. Neither the state of Idaho nor any political subdivision, which would be a school district, may violate a parent's fundamental and established rights to protected by this act. And again, you can read through this. What was added was this in 2021 at the end of the legislative session. It was 32104. Emergency order is not justification to interfere with parental rights. At no time shall the existence of any order, proclamation, or declaration issued pursuant to Chapter 6 or 10, Title 46 Idaho Code be considered essential to further a compelling governmental interest to justify forced medical action on a child, forced removal of a child from a home, or violation of or interference with a parent's fundamental and established rights protected by the Idaho Parental Rights Act. So this was just a quick update to let you know of what the work that I'm doing. I'm not ignoring this at all, but again, it is complicated. I've asked several other school districts, are you exploring this? I haven't heard of anybody exploring this. I'm looking for some guidance here. What I do know is we are bound by Idaho Code, and we will follow Idaho Code. And so I will continue to keep you updated on this work. So that's really what I wanted to report out to you.
And I would say that you are starting with our own District 84 policy 2424.
That is a new policy.
That's
that was
one we're working on developing.
We do not. Yeah.
We do not have that. I put our header on it. We can't have this is not first reading right now.
This is part of the development.
And that's based off the Idaho Parental Rights Act.
Right.
Correct. So
if you see at the bottom of that policy, you're scrolling through, it's in the packet. There's no adoption date. We don't have that in code, correct?
It's not in code yet. It's one that
sorry, it's in code. It's not in our board policy yet.
Yes.
So I guess my point is a lot of, I think, what we heard from parents and concerns are already in code. I don't know if that changes the board's direction in what they would want me to do with this. But that, again, this is not an action item. This is just an update and discussion. Yes.
Yep. I think addressing the elephant in the room when this topic gets brought up by the public is this has all come about in the last 2 years.
Sure.
Right? And it has to do with COVID. That's exactly why this was done in 2021. And I think it's important for everybody to know on the board and what we're doing, as well as the public at large. A lot of this is already covered in Idaho Code, and we are bound by code. I understand that there are districts and states around the country that are doing bills of rights, and I'm not saying that that's unnecessary by any means. I'm not saying it's unnecessary for us to be working on that here. I think it's important for everybody to know that this is addressed in code. It's not policy yet, but more than likely, and this is, it's a big ship. It takes a while to turn to do new policy, but The code's there to back it, which gives us direction and help from the ISBA to establish code or policy within our own district. And it's not being ignored.
Well, and Clerk Fisher, please correct me if I'm wrong, but code is always going to trump policy.
100%.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So
no question.
whether we have it in code or not, or whether we have it in
Policy.
policy,
We're still abiding by.
we're still abiding by Idaho code.
I think it's important from a board standpoint and a, school by school and some parents know exactly what's going on, that we have policy that is backed by code. Otherwise, we'd have a pretty skinny policy book, and that's not the case.
I think it's also important to put it in policy for ease of access and referencing for our parents, to make sure that they can find it. It's sometimes very cumbersome to have to hunt through Idaho code because there's so much content there,
Right.
and to have it in this format that our clerk is working on is very helpful. I saw, Trustee
I'd just like to say, I support a parent's Bill of Rights, and, most of these things are covered in the code, or at least explored in the code, and I think our parents' Bill of Rights could start with the code, but these things are scattered, through codes, all across.
Multiple codes.
So you're saying is
multiple codes,
organizing
so
it.
I exactly, that's the word I like, I think we should start by organizing the parents' rights, that are established in Idaho code.
Yeah,
And I just warn, it's dangerous when we start going away from code. So I take this task very seriously in the sense that I want to make sure that we follow code and we're within alignment. But when we start veering anything away from code, then I think that's when it's a slippery slope.
I don't think the suggestion was to veer from code.
No,
It was to
no.
Compile it.
Compile
Exactly.
the various codes that would affect policy. Yeah.
Are there-
Thank you for doing all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. And can you, I see a draft being worked on, and when we have 2 sworn-in new board members and a draft ready, then we would bring it forward to present to the board and get approval on and discussion on. Is there any other, were you gonna add anything?
I think that's been covered. What I would add would be, if you've ever gone to Idaho code and it references,
Yeah, it's
and
very
you're
difficult.
just going every direction, if we could get it in one document.
Yeah,
Simplified.
agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on this topic, or? Then with that, we will move on to the review of policy 2340.
So we have board policy 2340, and 2340 is our controversial issues and academic freedom. There has been, again, new Idaho code, which I have one of the 2 codes here, which is 33-138, and the other is 33-139. And basically, it's talking about our non-discriminatory clauses within our policy. And, this is directly coming about because of critical race theory. And so the bottom line would be is we need to make sure that our code, our policy, I apologize for that, is in alignment with current Idaho code. This is not a first reading. The first reading will be in January when we have our board in place. But I do want you to look and see the bolded part is the part that would be amended to make sure that we are in alignment with Idaho Code 33-138 and 33-139, I think. District affirms that the district, including its employees and students, are to respect the dignity of others and acknowledges the right of others to express differing opinions and foster and defend intellectual honesty, freedom of inquiry and instruction, as well as speech and association rights appropriate for the educational setting. The rest of it is our current policy. Probably the most important in the language to be aware of is in this section 3. Teachers will not attempt, directly or indirectly, to limit or control students' judgment concerning any issues, including but not limited to requiring students to personally affirm, adopt, or adhere that any race is inferior or superior, or inherent responsibilities regarding sex, race, ethnicity, religion, color, or national origin. This shall include not arguing that individuals should be treated adversely on the basis of any of the attributed listed above. No distinction or classification of students shall be made on account of race or color other than is required for collection or reporting of demographic data. And I think that is it. And it's referencing these two new Idaho codes. So we do need to, in January, come for a first reading to make sure that we get our code our policy.
In alignment
Neck
with
surgery has done it. We'll be following Idaho code. So
Yeah.
just again, I wanted to bring that to your attention.
And this is obviously for information only tonight at this point. We'll hear a first reading on that as we move into our January meeting. That ends our board information agenda section, and we're moving into announcements.
Right? Can I start?
I would hand it over to you, Superintendent Albertson.
All right. My first announcement that I would like to make to the board, and I guess also to the community, and I'll read a quick statement here, is after working for Lake Pend Oreille School District for the past 35 years, I'm notifying you of my decision to retire starting July 1st, 2022. This decision does not come easily, but the timing of my decision will allow Lake Pend Oreille School District School Board the sufficient time to search and hire the next superintendent. So I've got more here, and I would just want to say thank you for having the trust in me 3 years ago. On unfortunate circumstances, the timing of multiple things are. It's just the timing is right. I think it's what's best for you as a board in having the time to select, and also for me. So anyway, that's the first announcement. Now,
Before you move right on, though,
Easy does it.
I will say on behalf of the board that it is not easy to accept your resignation, your retirement. We do it understanding that we'll be losing a great superintendent, and I can't believe you're saying it's been 3 years already. That fast.
Yeah,
But
been that fast.
I do, your point that you are giving us plenty of advance notice is very well received, and we won't bother saying any goodbyes because you have a lot of work ahead of you in
I
the
do. Yes.
next amount of months.
And I don't, and I hope I will continue working to the last day. So that's my
correct.
intent.
So, thank you.
Other announcements.
Yes.
First, to make this very official, is we know we recognized Clerk Fisher for being the Idaho Clerk of the Year, but the official plaque has now come, and I would like to honor her with this.
Thank you.
I don't know, and we do need a picture.
Right now?
Yeah, we're getting a photo very quickly, and I don't. Do you want to give? No,
Really?
we're getting a photo with Kelly with the board.
All right,
And Tom.
with the board.
Yes,
Okay.
we're getting a photo with her
All
with the board, accepting her award.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes. He was going to turn and step. No,
Whatever-
we're going to go over there.
Okay, we're going over here.
Sorry, Tom.
Thank you,
You have to
Kristen.
do it.
Yeah,
This is official.
it's only appropriate that the picture is in front of them.
Oh,
You guys,
Yeah, you're kind of, yeah.
right, do you want me to shut this off? Just drop my
Close the
lid.
laptop. Close the laptop.
Oh,
All right, here you get over there by Kelly.
Yeah, maybe scooch.
Kelly should be in the middle here.
Yeah, well, you should be on the other side too.
Okay.
I have to be in front, so
You two are the ones that are saying goodbye.
okay. Come in just a little.
Okay.
See, we didn't meet the day.
All right, 1, 2, 3, go. Let's do a couple. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen.
And since we're still here.
Oh, wait.
Oh, sorry.
We're making Tom do all of this.
Yeah, it's all right. These are
Part of the rehab.
less than 8 pounds. Again, is my great appreciation to both Gary and Carrie for your service to our community, our education community. And I feel very blessed to have worked with you.
Thank you.
So I
Same
really
here.
appreciate that. So,
Thank you.
all right. So now we got to get a photo.
A photo of that, and you guys hold your flags up. So, yeah, since we're here informally saying, oh, here, get you guys.
Get out of yeah.
Sorry.
Just the two, this is
Smile.
nice.
All right.
Thank you.
I will say that the 4 years has just gone by like that. It's been terrific service, and thank you for all of that.
It's been a real privilege to it.
What'd you say, Carrie? It's been what?
It's been a real privilege to serve as a trustee.
Yes.
And I'm so proud of this district. We're doing so well. As it was mentioned earlier, I really am. Tom and Kelly and the rest of the board, great job. They do fantastic. I'm so proud of this district.
And I'd like to say, it's been an honor, to serve with all of you. I believe our district's in a great place. It's going in the right direction. And, I'm confident we will continue to move forward.
Thank you to both of you. Are there announcements from the administrators who are here?
We can't top that.
I know, it's kind of, there's a feel-good buzz going, so only good stuff. What do you have? Anything?
If you guys are really quiet, you might hear the Canada right now where all of our our choir kids are at.
Oh,
And it's a real interesting choir because we've got 2 high school kids and all the rest are junior high. So there's
Nice.
a steep learning curve for those young kids. It's their first time. So.
That's great, that's great. Who else am I missing principal-wise? Yeah, right.
Sandpoint High School's in the middle of Boys for Tots fundraiser, and we're right around $5,000 at this point in time and the rest of this week, so maybe turning that over to Ben here shortly, and we'll see what our final tally is.
Great. Very good. Yes.
Hope School, our food drive fundraiser today. Our students, some of our 6th grade students and our librarian / advanced math person loaded up in a little school bus 1,000 pounds of donated food they collected with our food drive and took it over to the platform.
That's good. That's good. And we did Elizabeth.
Farms did well. We are also doing our holiday food drive. We're only at 800 pounds, but we have
So then I'll ask Anna.
so maybe we'll top that. Maybe we'll
Per capita though.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. We have 550 students.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Pick it up.
I'll be
good.
sure to say that tomorrow on the announcement.
Get them motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that pantry.
Anything from the district office? Andrew, Casey?
Not this evening, thank you.
Okay. With that, I will hear a motion to move into executive session.
I move that we move into executive session as provided for in Idaho Code Title 74, Section 206, subsection 1B, to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent or public school student.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Trustee Kelly.
Aye.
Trustee Superger.
Aye.
Trustee Decker.
Aye.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Chair Lewis.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried.
Okay. We are now in executive session. Thank you, everyone.